Hello Internet, and welcome to my live reaction for the Cuckoo's Fiancee, Chapter 88. When we last left our heroes, we continued our way through what I am not so affectionately referring to as the horny hotel arc, and it was a lot better than it had been in the past. There was a lot going on in 3 chapters. We saw sort of Erika stating that, she's not going to give in to this sort of attempt to, get them all hot and bothered. She's going to... Whoever she falls in love with will be her own decision. Later on, Nagi returns that belief in the sort of quiz show with Ritsuko. And then we leave off with, in the background, I rope Sachi and presumably Hiro into this rescue mission. And while Nagi and Erika are having this sort of intense conversation, kind of mocking and simultaneously tense conversation about kissing, an extra dinner comes in with the room service lady, and out of the dinner cart appears a hand. So someone snuck in. We'll see who it is as this chapter begins. This chapter, the last 3 chapters didn't have an official scanlation page or group attached to it. This chapter is done by Cuckoo when scans. I'm guessing it's specifically made for Cuckoo, obviously. The same way Pusu Pusu was largely made for Fire Force, or solely made for Fire Force. I'm not going to speak exactly to anyone's motivations as far as that goes. I'm curious, though, if this is the same group that did the last 3 releases, or if whoever translated and put together those 3 chapters are now an official scanlation team. I don't know. I'm spitballing about things that don't really matter in the context of this story. Let's jump right on into 88th Foul. That's familial love. It's not romantic. Alright, let's see how this goes. Our picture here is of Erika sort of dressed up for fall with the leaves falling around her. She's in this sort of warm coat. All alone in the locked room, they meet an unexpected intruder, a new development in their house arrest days. And we open right where we left off with Nagi and Erika sort of staring at this hand, this arm lying out of the cart. Who's that? And we see Nagi and Erika both stare at it. Erika's a little confused. Nagi's full on shivering. And she turns to Nagi. Nagi-kun, go check it out. No way in hell. I've never, ever seen a dead body before. And Erika looks at him. Okay, so? First of all, that's totally not a dead body. It's probably just mommy, and she goes to go check it out. And she picks up the hand. Geez, did you have to make such a dramatic entrance? It's severed. It's dripping. I'm guessing it's not actually blood, but it sure as hell looks like blood. Shocking Erika, she realizes it. Eek! And she throws it at Nagi, who also hits Nagi, who also squeals. Eek! And out pops I. It is I. Love that pun. I'm always a sucker for a good pun. Again, don't know if that pun works in the original, but that's the kind of localization work that I just really love. It is I. Good shit there. As I pops out of underneath the cart. Shocking Erika. And I just sort of waves at her. And she's so stunned she passes out. Nagi goes over, wait, Ano-san? And I looks over her. It seems that she's fainted. Perhaps I overdid it. And Nagi's just totally stunned. Ai-chan, what? And I sort of pulls her over and drops her on the bed. Perfect timing. Let's get out of here, you and I. That's actually... I was fine with the I pun once. I'm curious if we're sort of overplaying our hand here. Having it be 3 times in, I's 3 lines this chapter. I don't know. It still works. It still basically works. And the more important thing, of course, is I, once again, seeing herself as being sort of above the other girls. We saw this back in, I think, 70-something. We had that metaphor of I pulling Nagi out of out of the muck that he was in with Erika, Hiro, and Sachi. She has this very kind of savior complex around him that we're still sort of seeing play out here. And Nagi's sort of stunned at her statement. Huh? And I grabs him. I've already secured an escape route. They've taken your freedom here. Instead, let's spend some time in a more agreeable place. And Nagi doesn't move. Shocking eye. Nagi-chan? And Nagi looks at her. I can't do that. Is that out of not wanting to leave Erika, or sort of like he's accepted that he's going to be here for 2 weeks and so he's going to see it through to the end? And I sort of looks at him confused, and Nagi tells her, I've made my choice. I'm staying. And I protest, but it's tough being here, isn't it? Being suddenly taken away with nothing at all? That's just imprisonment. Nagi tells her, I know. But that's exactly why I can't run. You can't run? Yeah. Running away won't solve anything. Oh, and he flashes back to the elopement arc. Specifically, the problem with that, the central dilemma in that arc was that he chose to run away with Hiro instead of confronting Mrs. Seigawa. And he's not going to run away again. He's going to confront Ritsuko through to the end. Amano-san taught that to me before. So I'm sorry. I feel bad that you've come all this way for me, but I'm staying. And I acknowledges that. I see then. You two have such a beautiful relationship. She's about to pull something. She is definitely right about to pull something. Nagi's just stunned. Huh? I mean, the two of you have shaped each other's values and growth, leading each other toward a better future. That's such a beautiful relationship. And Nagi sort of scratches his neck. Is it really? However, that's familial love. It's not romantic. That's not how I expected that line to be delivered. I will say. I expected that to be a Sachi line. I think we all, on some level, expected that to be a Sachi line, or a line about Sachi. I figured it more being Nagi to or about Sachi. I don't know. But no, I is just sort of trying to invalidate Nagi's relationships once again, because that's sort of what she does. This whole view she has that she is so much more special than everyone else in Nagi's life, it's not quite being presented in the same kind of better than that we saw in the swamp metaphor. But it's the same kind of concept. That what I have with you is romantic, and you only think that what you have with other people is romantic. Of course, Nagi's not entirely sure he feels romantically towards Erika, what with Hiro still around. But it's all the kinds of things you should be thinking about right now. Nagi's sort of shocked at her declaration. Huh? And we cut to Erika just passed out. And I is taking that as like a victory, I think. All right, Nagi-chan? What? I left my family and came to Japan, all just to be with you, Nagi-chan. Is that... Let's let this scene play out. Nagi sort of is taken aback by that. That's... Yeah, I'm happy to see you all grown up now. And I goes on, I declared my love for you. That was a first for me. It was heart-pounding. I even got the media to cover it. I didn't mind it. You should have minded it. That was like really fucked up what she did. You were my first love after all. Though it did surprise me, haha. And he sort of blushes and scratches his back again. Scratches the back of his neck again. That just now. What just now? That's romantic. The kind of love that makes your heart race. Yeah, that's not incredibly different than what we saw with him and Erika just at the end of last chapter. The bit with I'm only going to kiss the person that I marry. Isn't that just me though? That's the same. That's the same sort of thing that makes your heart race. I desperately wants to be different, wants to be special, wants to be the one, and I think in order to achieve that sort of view of herself, she inherently puts everyone else down. And I'm, again, still curious how that sort of character trait is going to develop going forward. Anyway, Nagi pushes back. Wait, Ai-chan, what are you? And I, like scrunches up her skirt, it looks like. In other words... Oh, God! she hikes up her skirt to pull down her tights. I'm saying it's about whose panties you want to see most, Nagi-chan. What the genuine fuck? Like, what even? What even is this shit? And Nagi's reacts, huh? And we have this particular shot of Erika that seems to be focused a little bit on how high up the hem of her bathrobe is. Actually, is she even wearing... Is Erika wearing underwear right now? She just got out of the bath. That's not a question I want to be thinking about right now. Moving on. Nagi sort of all of a sudden reaches this level of calm. Really? And he like blushes as he turns away, and I insist, really? And he turns back to I in her particular position, and goes back to Erika in hers, and he thinks, whose panties do I want to see? He says, I want to see... And Erika's all of a sudden awake, and like specifically sort of, she's sitting up, like covering her crotch area, and asks, how did you come to think about seeing my panties? And Nagi is so stunned he like falls on his ass. Amino-san, you were awake? Since when? Shut up. Erika's a little right to be pissed. I think she'd be a little bit more pissed at I, but also Nagi's not entirely without fault here. And I looked at him. I see you finally decided to react. And Nagi's sort of shocked. I-chan noticed. React to Erika being awake. And Erika sort of agrees, I guess so. And she stands up and confronts I directly. And I's ready for it. This is a good opportunity. I've been thinking that we should talk things out sometime. And Erika just sort of looks at her, yeah, nobody can get in our way here, right? And Nagi is just in this really, really uncomfortable position in the middle, agreeing with I's bold statement, next time a battle between love interests in the middle of the night. It's now or never. Okay. So, let's start with the good parts of this chapter. And to be fair, there are a lot of good parts to this chapter. I love the hand gag. It's so out of nowhere, it's so fucking weird. And in the end, it's so fucking funny. As Erika's just totally stunned at the hand, and I's sudden appearance as she passes out. It helps lead into the panties gag that I'm going to get into later as the stuff I didn't particularly care for. But alright. Okay, so here's an interesting thing that I just sort of noticed. Looking back at page 6. It might just be a coincidence, it might just be like she's moving away from Erika. But that bottom left panel on 6, when I is finished putting Erika on the bed, her hand is sort of near the hem of Erika's bathrobe. And given how the chapter progresses, the position of Erika's bathrobe ends up being somewhat important. I'm thinking if I could like compare those two moments. Because it does kind of look a little bit higher up in page 16 when we have the shot of Erika in the sort of counter to what I's up to. It's all interesting. I don't know. Like, maybe she's specific. I don't know why she would. It seems kind of out of character for I. To sort of give Nagi the opportunity to pick another girl. I don't know. Anyway, there's still plenty of things I like here. I's characterization is still just as kind of self-centered, but still, very well. She feels sort of real. Like if you took like the yandere trope and made it about twice as realistic, you might get it I. She's not gonna like kill anybody, but she's willing to like go to extremes to get her man, is the sort of concept I get from I. She's not the future diary girl who's gonna like kill you or something. I don't know, I never actually watched that show, but the meme of it. But but she's definitely at like a lower end of that spectrum. Like that's the sort of spectrum that she's on. I don't know. And so we're continuing to see that characterization. I'm again very curious how all of that is going to play out. The question is that sort of a quirky thing about I, or are we supposed to read that as a negative trait of I? I read it as a negative trait, but like, is that what Yoshikawa wants me to do, or is that just my own personal beliefs interacting with how I view the story is sort of the question. I don't know. Anyway, I love the callback to the elopement arc. Y'all know the elopement arc is like my favorite arc in the entire series so far. It's just real good. And Nagi's like, I'm not entirely sure the lessons match in the same way. Like, I'm not entirely sure you can just graft on the lesson of the elopement arc to this arc. Because, they could run away, but like, then what? If Nagi runs with Hiro, then what happens? And that's the sort of thing that they never quite figured that out. If Nagi and Erika run away from Ritsuko, they can just sort of go back to their lives as they were. I'm not quite sure it follows the same way, but I can believe that Nagi would think that it follows the same way, which I think is what really matters here. Nagi might not be right. Running away might be what they need in this particular situation, but I understand why, given what he's just done, less than a month ago in Universe, I know why he's sort of loath to run away after what happened with Hiro. And it's a nice little, stressing sort of what I calls out as the shaping each other's values and growth between Nagi and Erika. She wants to frame it as familial love. I think she's wrong. I think she's just sort of wants that to be true. Given that, like, that's sort of her... She's, again, a very selfish character. And then we have the bit of her sort of calling Nagi's response to what she's done an example of romantic love, when it doesn't really read that way. It doesn't read any more romantic than like any of his interactions with Erika or with Hiro. It feels much more like she wants it to be romantic, and so she's going to just keep saying it until it becomes true. And then we have the panties bit, and that's just really uncomfortable. I'm glad Erika woke up or revealed herself at the moment she did, because it was about to reach like the point of no return in discomfort. And I'm glad she could sort of like get on to him there. Because, it's not, this whole incident isn't entirely his fault, but he did sort of continue the panties thoughts along a little bit past where it was comfortable. But Erika's finally just sort of, I'm here to deal with I. And it's been a while since I've quite noticed a money shot. And this last scene with her sort of staring down I is about as close as we get. And I kind of like it. And it's sort of a nice composition. We have the two of them, Erika and I sort of staring each other down, ready for a fight. And Nagi's in the middle, kind of like what they're fighting for. I don't know. It's well composed, though it's far from Yoshikawa's greatest money shot. And now we're going to have some kind of talk between the two of them. I'm excited to see how that play out. I'm curious still how Sachi and Hiro are going to sort of factor into this, given what 86 and 87 did to sort of set them up in this arc. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen there. I am excited to find out, though. I'm sure I'm much more confident in how this arc will play out now than I was a month ago, and that's always nice. So yeah, I'm going to leave this video off here. Hope you all enjoyed the chapter and the video itself. If you did, feel free to drop me a like or subscribe. Do whatever makes you happy, And as always, your life is your own, okay? Bye!